So this is all ready to be filled. There's a couple spots there that I filled when I was doing the door and the quarter panel, just leftover filler that I just laid on. There was the bottom, there was a hole there, and there was another patch up there in that spot. So I'm just going to put some fiberglass fill over the weld zone, which is right here, up to here, and across there. Can't hardly see it now. So yeah, this fender's got 6 different layers of color on it. You can see the original paint job there. Actually, that could be, kind of doubt. There's actually no primer between this layer. There could be some kind of like metal etched primer. I kind of doubt it back in those days, but that is the first layer, black right on the metal, so it could be. And then okay, there's a layer of primer. So let's start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this has the last layer here is, it looks like, no, I get this back up. So could be primer, color 1, color 2, color 3, color 4, color 5, and then it's got a clear coat on it. So it was base cleared the last time. Got this all skimmed over. Kind of like that color, robin's egg blue. Anyways, I'm going to hit it with a longboard with some 40 grit just to knock it down a bit and see what happens. Got something. Plugged up the paper. I don't know how you can hear me. Created a bit of a high spot there with that filler, that fiberglass filler right there. feet a bit. Power. I think you've watched me do that long enough to get the idea. Blocking, blocking, blocking. Alright, got this all sanded down. Ended up switching to a 80 grit. It actually had sharper. It was actually a sharper piece of paper, so it cut better. I guess that 40 grit I was using has been around the block a few times, so it's kind of dulled out. Anyways, I don't really like using 40 grit a lot because it makes a lot of deep scratches and you just have to end up filling it. So I'm going to put some more filler kind of like from here down. You can see this area didn't get hit. Some areas down there. I don't want to put any more filler up in this area because it's already kind of encroaching on the paint. It's a little bit overlapped. So if I put any more over there, I'm going to just put glaze and putty over that part and put that on the paint apparently. You know, I've experimented a little bit with body filler and this feather light stuff. On the can it says it can only go on to bare metal, and I think it's accepted practice to put this stuff over top of polyester primer because it's a polyester product. Excuse me, but anyway, years ago I was putting together a crew cab just as a family vehicle for myself, and I was going to paint it up, and back of the cab had several, like below the window, had several little dings in it, and I didn't think it was worth going to all the trouble of grinding those spots down and tugging them out with the uni-spotter because it's a bit of a beater. Just wanted to make it look decent. So I just took some 40 grit or 80 grit and just scuffed the paint and put the Bondo right over it, and years and years and years it's never a problem. I'm not saying that's something you want to do on a nice car or a customer's car, but if it's something of your own, you want to give it a try. Worked for me. It's just a beater. Truck ended up going to a logging show, and they left it on an island somewhere. It's probably still there. Anyway, that's it for now. It's time for a bit more filler and we'll get back to you. Alright, I don't know if you've noticed, but that right there keeps reappearing. It's a high spot. And I could just do what they call cave it and pave it, but I don't want to do that. So because that's high there, I've been trying to ferret out here in hopes that it would, you know, wouldn't be so noticeable or whatever when when I paint it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just not happy with the way it's going. So I'm going to have to deal with it. And because of this high spot, it's making, I had to put more filler on the whole area, right? Just trying to ferret out. So I'm going to try something here and see how it works out. Here I am trying something. It's not what I originally had planned, but this is what I'm doing. So just to kind of emphasize this or make it up, you see how that rocks? I don't know if you can see that from there, but this is rocking. But down here, it's not really rocking much. You know, it is a bit because the panel has a bit of a curve to it, but it's definitely like a real high spot there. Up here, it's arrow straight, really. In this area, straight. As soon as you start touching on that bare spot there, it starts to rock. So it's quite high. So here we go. Burning some Bondo. I think it's working. Contact there. I think I'm gonna stop. So now we got that down. It's actually lower than the rest of it. It still feels nice and tight. Okay, good. Do some sanding and see how it looks. So, ended up chasing this around a little bit, and you can see how it totally changed it. So another high spot showed up here, the one over here. So, but see now, I'm gonna be able to flatten this whole area here beyond this spot. So now no rocking, no rocking, no rocking, no rocking, no rocking, and it starts to rock down in here a bit. So I'm going to be able to sand this all off here a little bit more and get a lot of that filler off. I'm going to have to clean this up a bit and just skim that over, and it'll look good. You know, it's my bad. You know, I worked on this fender. This is the first thing I did on this car, and I should have come in here with a tool like this before I started filling it. Then I would have, see you can see it's straight there. Then we get over top of this area where there's quite a bit of filler. It's rocking on the filler a bit, so I'm going to be able to take a lot of this filler out. So I should have done this, I should have checked this with a straight edge before I started filling it, and then I could have caught that, dealt with it, and then gone into the filling stage. But anyways, this will turn out. I'm pleased that I was gonna try this last night, but I didn't want to ruin my night's sleep by having to think about it all night, or well, maybe or if it didn't work out, I would have been that, you know. So I thought I'll just wait till the morning, and it worked out fine. So I'm gonna have a good day. Now you can see how this is working out here. You can see how much material I took out. I know maybe you can't tell, but right here there's a whole bunch of this lighter colored glazed putty. A big circle of it here, and now all that's left of that is that right there. So there was a low spot in the featherite filler, and so that's all that's left of that big circle of spot putty that was there. And I got down into my my fiberglass filler again, just touching down on metal there. That high spot's gone. I got a little bit of a low spot there, so I'm just going to switch into some more of this glazed putty and cover this whole area here, feather it out onto here, and you know, because there's somebody, I guess, somebody has done body work on this before. Obviously, I mean, it was painted 5 times, so I think there's some collision damage here or something. And I don't know if you want to go back and look at the videos that I did on this fender. There was a really thin spot here, and it's actually so thin that you know, that you could almost put your finger through it. So I ended up putting a patch in here. So anyways, that's what that filler there is about. Fiberglass filler on top of there. And you can see I did skim this whole area with fiberglass. I think it's starting to get into it there too. So anyways, it's the whole thing is ended up covered, but you know, it's not a lot of Bondo. It looks like a lot of Bondo. I guess you could say it is a lot of Bondo. It's on the whole thing, but you know, magnet still sticks to it. This magnet, you know, stays on there. So it's a thin layer of filler just to get everything straightened out. I spent a lot of time on this fender chasing oil cans in it, and you know, I just had to cut it off somewhere, and this is the solution. Just skim it over, make it look good. It's gonna be good. It is good. I'm happy with it. The rest of the car's turning out nicely. I don't know if I showed you this already, but got the fender on it there. That all looks nice. The door's all ready to, you know, prep. Might have to put another layer of primer on the bottom. So I'm just going to color the bottom, probably clear the whole door. Just because, you know, I did a blend on the quarter panel, but that's, you know, had to be blended somewhere. I wasn't going to paint the whole panel, so and I did a blend on the fender. Probably should have cleared the whole fender, but just trying to, I mean, I don't know, I can't tell. Can you tell? Blends right in there somewhere. So anyway, looking good for 70 years old. Hope I look this good when I'm 70. Just did a little bit more sanding on this, and the glaze putty's gone. I mean, there's a slight trace of it right there. So all that glazing putty, gone. Didn't get rid of all that, but it's okay. Yeah, so yeah, there and there. And then I'm gonna put a bit of glaze over top of that, just to hide those transitions there. And then it's primer time. All right, that is looking good. And then you can see I touched metal here and here. either side of that high spot that I had, and you can just sort of just about metal there, and I think just about metal there too. But anyways, I just finished sanding this with a strip of 120 on the longboard, and then I'm gonna lightly go over this whole thing with the DA with 220, and then I'm gonna put the primer on. Just want to talk a little bit about how I do body work now, and I say now because I used to do body work a lot differently. I used to think that because, you know, when they came out these high build primers, that you could smash your Bondo down with a 40 grit board, get it all roughed out and straightened, and then pound on a layer of this high build primer, and it would fill in all the scratches, and you could sand it out to 320, 400, 600 or whatever, put your color on it, and it's all good. But it's not all good, because eventually what happens is these products, they all have a certain amount of shrinkage to them, and over time that high build primer, it will shrink, and where it's thick in the scratches. So you got your Bondo 40 grit scratch in it, and then you put a layer of this high build primer over top of it. You sand it all down, and then eventually when it shrinks, it's going to dive into that scratch, and you're going to see that through your finish coat. You know, a lot of guys, you know, there's still guys on the internet that say, yeah, the fastest way to do it, fastest blah blah blah. But you know, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. And you know, there's an old saying. I walked into a shop one day and I saw a sign on behind the counter, and it said, cheap, fast, and good. There we go. Cheap, fast, and good. Pick one. Or sorry, pick two. So if you want it fast and good, it's not going to be cheap. If you want it cheap and good, it's not going to be fast. If you want it cheap and fast, it's not going to be good. So I mean, you know, I always my attitude now is not how fast I can do it or how much faster I can do it. You know, that is a factor. You want to get things done, but my attitude now is, how can I do it better? And you know, and I could have done this fender better, I admit that, but you know, I was trying to do it on the car. A lot of work to take this fender off the car. In hindsight, maybe I should have taken it off the car. I don't know. But so at this stage, I want to do it as best as I can. So that's why I'm cutting it down with, you know, I went from, did a quick knockdown with the 40 grit, did most of my sanding to get it straight with the 80 grit, and then I went over it with some 120 to knock out some of the scratches. Now I'm going to go out at it with 220, and then when I lay my primer on, you know, I went and worked at, you know, I got to back up here. For the most part, I'm self-taught. I never worked in a body shop. And when I was doing this stuff, there was no YouTube. I just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, doing stuff the way I thought I should do it, learning from my mistakes, and there were a lot of them. And then I was kind of at this knock it down with 40 grit stage in my life. Put the high build primer on, call it good, sand it down. And then I went and worked at a body shop, a really high-end body shop here in town, one of the nicest body shops in town. And I learned a lot there, and you know, all the stuff. I worked in the paint shop, paint prep shop, and all the stuff that came in from the body shop was as smooth as this or smoother. And then as far as spraying on primer, you know, I always used to pound on that high build primer to be all orange peely and blah blah blah. You know, just big thick coats of it. And they taught me there, you got to put this primer on as smooth as the finished coat. You know, get it on there smooth. Save yourself some sanding. You know, just, you know, that's where the time savings comes in. Is when you learn how to do things right, you save time. What's the point of scratching this thing all up with 40 grit, pounding on a whole bunch of high build primer, and then having to spend hours sanding it? So I mean, get it smooth, put the primer on smooth, you know, and then you're gonna have smooth. It's just a better way to do it. So that's my rant on prepping for paint. This is already to prime. Got it all covered up. Overspray gets on everything. Old blankets are cheap. Labor's expensive. Save yourself the time and effort of cleaning off overspray by covering up your work. Anyways, ready to go. There we go, the first heavy wet coat of the primer. You can see the body work is well, is really nice. You can see the reflection of that cabinet there. It's not all weird or anything. It's orange peely. I mean, I kind of expect that from a really thick high build primer. But I would have liked it to gone on a little smoother, but it's pretty thick stuff. Overall, it's you know, it's pretty smooth. So that looks good. That the body work, that's, you know, that first coat of primer really shows your body work. And I think it's a nice flat panel. So I just want to show you how quickly this this comes up. So I'm just sanding this with a DA 400 grit, and you know, I was talking about that orange peel, but it really seems like this settled down quite a bit. I just want to show you how quickly this comes up smooth. That's pretty much it. I'll hit that edge there by hand, and that'll be all ready.